The sensory system is a vital component of the human body. It allows us to experience the world around us through our senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. These senses provide us with important information that helps us navigate our environment and make decisions about how to behave. But what if the human body did not have a sensory system? How would this affect our lives and our ability to function in the world? This is Fantasy World. We try to imagine everything about your fantasy. Without the sensory system, we would be completely cut off from the world around us. For instance, the sense of sight is essential to understanding our environment. If we did not have eyes to see, we would not be able to experience the vast array of colors that make up our world. We would not be able to appreciate the beauty of nature, such as the colors of a rainbow, the bright hues of a flower, or the majesty of a mountain range. Our sense of hearing is equally important as it allows us to communicate with others and experience the world through sound. We would not be able to hear the sound of our loved ones' voices, the laughter of children, or the melody of a song. The world would be silent, and we would be unable to interact with others or enjoy the sounds of nature. The sense of touch is also critical to our understanding of the world. Without it, we would be unable to feel the texture of objects, the warmth of the sun, or the sensation of wind blowing through our hair. We would not be able to differentiate between hot and cold or identify objects based on their shape and texture. Our sense of taste is an essential part of our experience of food and drink. Without it, we would not be able to appreciate the flavors and textures of different foods or enjoy the pleasure of a satisfying meal. We would be unable to differentiate between sweet, salty, sour, and bitter tastes and would be unable to experience the nuances of different flavors. Without a sensory system, our understanding of the world would be limited to whatever information we could gather through our other faculties, such as our intellect and reasoning ability. However, even these faculties would be severely limited without the input from our senses. We would have no way of verifying the accuracy of the information we receive, and we would not be able to correct any errors in our understanding of the world. For example, we would not be able to perceive temperature without the sense of touch, and so we would not be able to tell whether we were standing in a hot desert or a cold winter landscape. This would make it impossible for us to adapt to our environment, and we would be in constant danger of heat stroke or hypothermia. Similarly, without the sense of balance, we would not be able to tell whether we were standing upright or falling over. We would be unable to navigate through space, and we would be in constant danger of injury or death. Our ability to feel pain is also critical to our survival. Pain acts as a warning signal that tells us when something is wrong with our bodies. Without the sense of touch and pain, we would not be able to detect when we are injured or in danger. This would make it difficult for us to avoid harm, and we would be more vulnerable to injuries and illnesses. Moreover, without the sense of hearing, we would be unable to communicate with others. We would not be able to hear their voices or the sounds they make, and we would not be able to understand their intentions or emotions. This would make it difficult for us to form relationships, and we would be isolated from others. We would be unable to learn from others or benefit from their experiences, and we would be limited to our own narrow perspective. In addition, without the sense of sight, we would be unable to perceive the world in a three-dimensional way. We would not be able to judge distances or sizes accurately, and we would be unable to appreciate the beauty of the world around us. We would not be able to read, write or recognize faces, which would limit our ability to interact with others and express ourselves. Without sensory input, our ability to interact with the world around us would be severely limited. For instance, our ability to walk and move around would be significantly impaired. We would not be able to feel the ground beneath our feet, which would make it difficult for us to maintain balance and walk without tripping or falling. This would make it challenging for us to navigate through the world and perform simple tasks like climbing stairs or walking on uneven surfaces. Furthermore, without our sensory system, our ability to communicate with others would be greatly affected. We would not be able to hear or see others, which would make it difficult for us to understand or respond to their verbal and nonverbal cues. As a result, our ability to form social connections and develop relationships with others would be severely limited. Our inability to perceive the world through our senses would also prevent us from enjoying the pleasures of life. We would not be able to taste food or appreciate the subtleties of flavor. We would not be able to hear music or appreciate the complexity of its melodies and harmonies. Similarly, we would not be able to see art or appreciate the beauty of its colors, textures, and forms. This would make life monotonous and devoid of any richness and complexity that our senses bring. Moreover, our lack of sensory input would impact our emotional well-being. Our emotional states are often triggered by the information our senses provide us with. Without sensory input, we would not be able to experience the joy of a sunny day or the comfort of a soft, warm blanket. We would not be able to feel the touch of a loved one or the sound of their voice, which would make it difficult for us to feel love and connection. In the absence of sensory input, our cognitive abilities would also be affected. Our brain processes sensory information to form a complete picture of the world around us. Without sensory input, our cognitive processes would be severely limited. We would be unable to form accurate perceptions of the world or understand the complexity of its structures and systems. Our ability to learn and acquire new knowledge would be significantly hindered, as our understanding of the world would be incomplete and limited. Furthermore, the lack of a sensory system would have profound implications for our mental health and emotional well-being. Our sense of self and identity are closely tied to our ability to perceive and interact with the world around us. Without this ability, we would be cut off from the world and isolated from others. We would be unable to experience joy, love, or happiness, and we would be unable to express our thoughts and feelings. In conclusion, the absence of a sensory system would have a profound impact on our lives and our ability to function in the world. It is hard to imagine how we would survive without our senses, as they are so deeply intertwined with our experiences and our perception of reality. The sensory system is a vital component of the human body, and it is something that we often take for granted. We should appreciate and celebrate the gift of our senses and the incredible experiences they allow us to have.